Hello, I'm Julie Samaco, owner of Southern Charm Wreaths, where we make beautiful wreaths and teach you how to make them. In this video, I want to show you how to make a beautiful patriotic lantern swag. This swag fits on top of your lantern and will be perfect for this Memorial Day weekend or this coming 4th of July. Let me show you how to make it. So the first thing you want to do is measure your lantern that you're working with. You want your swag to come down just part of the way. Or, you know, sometimes you can have it drape all the way down, but you really don't want it covering up the candle where the candle will shine through on the glass. So to do this, you just kind of hold up your pieces and see how far down you want your lantern to actually swag, your piece to actually swag. So I just hold my fingers there, and this is where I know I'm going to probably tie the bow. Let me put this out of the way. So if I just keep holding my finger roughly in that area, and then I just start layering pieces on top of each other. So this is going to be my larger flower, which would probably be the focal point. So I'm going to put that there. Then put this in the back of it. So I really don't want anything to go past this cutoff point where it will drape. But I just keep putting long stems in. In my hand. Then I have going to use some of the picks now. I'll probably put that down in there. So just maneuvering them so that they're basically in a stacked position. I'm just pulling them in and out of my hand until I get them in the position that I want it. And then I'm going to come in from the other end. So then I'll put a flower. And then I've got some of the longer red flowers. I'm just going to maneuver it a little bit to make it look a little bit more realistic. And I'm going to cut off these green leaves. And I'm going to put another pick. I want to leave enough room in here for a bow, so I might have to move things out. Now, if you think it's easier to go ahead and do one side and then zip tie it, and then you could come over and do the other side and zip tie it and then zip tie it all together. But I find it, I mean, I guess I've done them enough that I just do it all at one time. So then I just take and I zip tie it. I use 3 zip ties to make sure this thing does not come loose. And then I'm going to trim off the excess zip tie. And so there you have part of your lantern swag. So it should look like this at this stage. where everything is still in one line and it's all zip tied together. Okay, for the bow, I just roll out my ribbon, and I use the swag that we've already created. So I want my ribbon tails on one end to go the whole length of the long side. So I usually just kind of eyeball it, lay it down, measure it with my fingers, and then I'm going to measure out 10 inches on my mat because we're going to be making 5-inch loops. So if I measure out 10 inches here, and then about another 7 inches for another tail on the bow, and then dovetail the ends. This is a real simple way to make a bow, especially if you're not very good at tying bows. So then I just lay my other, so I've got, this will be the base ribbon, which is 2.5 inches, and then I'm just going to lay my 1.5 inch ribbon on top of it and measure it out. Cut. And then dovetail it. Okay, so let me measure it again. So then I just pinch. So this is the long tail going down the long, so this will be underneath it, the long side. And I measure out the 10 inches and I pinch. Now my, if your ribbon is one-sided, you'll have to twist it here. And then I place the 1.5 inch ribbon on top of it, and I don't necessarily want it going all the way down to the end. I leave about a 1 to 2 inch gap, and then I measure out 10 inches, pinch, and then twist it. And so then I grab these, the other ribbons that I've cut are 27 inches long, and I just start laying them on top. But this time I'm going to have my loops going in this direction towards me. So I'll start by putting the streamer coming out of the top. And then I measure 10 inches and twist. So I always just keep checking to make sure my loops are the same length. And then my next loop will switch around. So I'm kind of alternating which way the loops go now. So I'll measure out 10 inches and then twist. Again, 10 inches. Once you've got all the loops together, so I've got 3 on one side of my hand and then 2 on the other side of my, or my thumb where I'm holding it. I'll take my floral wire and just wrap it around. And twist it tight. Sometimes I have a hard time getting it tight. I just use some needle nose pliers and then just give it a good turn. Alright, so then this is the long tail. Sometimes it's hard to tell, but this is where I want to keep out because I want to position the wire. So I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to place it over the zip ties, and then I'm going to pull those long streamers that I was talking about and move them to the front so that they fall underneath like that. Once I've got that in position, I'm going to tie it in the back. Let's see. Just keep twisting about an inch out, and then cut off your excess wire. And then you're going to bend the floral wire to the front so it curves around the back, and you don't have anything poking out. And at this point is where I trim off any of the excess stems that are coming. So if you've got the floral pieces coming in this way, and then you have this extra stem coming out of the bottom, this is where I'm going to cut this off about an inch long. And then just be careful not to accidentally cut, you know, something that's holding a flower or a pick. Yeah, because I've done that before and I've had to start over. So now I'm going to cut the other end. So this is what your swag should look like now. So now I'm going to show you how to finish up the back of it. Okay, so to finish up the back, you're going to need your hot glue gun. And then what I do is I use these little pieces of leftover leaf. I might have cut them off of you know, anything that has small leaves. This one I think was a rose, but you can use, you know, any other soap flower leaves. And then I'm just going to hot glue. And just be careful not to burn yourself. So I'm going to flip it over to the back so you can see. And then I just place the hot glued, the leaf right on top of the mechanics holding the swag together, which would be the zip ties and the floral wire that I just added. So I'm going to do one more. You could use ivy leaves too. And then just hold that in place while it cools off. Alright, so now once that's cooled off, I'm going to take a piece of, this is the rustic wire, so it's basically wire wrapped in, I don't know, paper, but it looks rustic, it looks like a piece of stick, but it's wire, and it's measured 20 inches long, and I feed it to the back, so this is the short side of the swag, and I feed it to the back, and then just twist it. Make sure it's tight. Just give it a couple of twists. So remember the long streamers we were talking about? So I'm going to hot glue them actually to the center piece of the floral swag so that they stay in position. So I just put a little hot glue, and then I take the 1.5 inch because I want it on top, and I glue it down. Just hold it there for a few minutes. And then I put some more glue on top of that 1.5 inch ribbon, and I put the 2.5 inch ribbon on top of that. So this way the tail that you want behind the swag, which will be up close against the lantern itself, will be glued in place. Okay, so now that we have the back pretty much done, we're going to just take the rustic wire and we're going to twist it around the top of the lantern. So here's the back, and I'm just going to twist it a couple of times. So this is what it looks like right now, okay? And now I'm going to show you how to make it look real professional. So we want to first, I'm going to maneuver some of the ribbon streamers. If you find you've got a lot of colors on one side, you can move some of the tails around so that the bow looks like it's you know, mixed up with different types of ribbon. Okay, all right, so when you get the ribbon the way you like it, you're just going to start to bend carefully your, like I'm going to move this large flower closer to the bow. Since it's this, you know, floral wire stem or whatever, you just bend it. And then I'm going to bend this star. It's going to be moved more up. So I'm going to bend it out using the touching the wire. Don't pull it by the styrofoam part. And then this piece, let me check. So this red flower, I'm going to bend it a little bit closer. And I think this red piece might be a little bit long, so I'm going to just snip it off. But I'm going to keep it so I can use it. Okay. So let me put this down. So right now, I'm just maneuvering everything around. Now, when so now I want the heavier part of the lantern swag to actually drape down the lantern. So to do that, I'm going to carefully bend those pieces downward so they're not sticking straight out, but they're angled down. And just use your hands to carefully bend them down. And then remember the floral pick had some of these curly pieces, and I'm just going to pull those out a little bit. They're these curly cues. You just pull them out a little bit. It kind of gives it more dimension, if you will. And I see a long stem that I forgot to cut. So let me cut that. Okay. So then what you can do is if you see any of the ribbon that seems to be a little bit too long, you can just trim it. Remember, I like to be able to see the candle coming through the lantern itself. So I'm going to trim some of the back. Okay, so this looks pretty just like it is, but to take it up another notch, I'm going to just start filling in around the bow with some little flowers. So the little pieces that I didn't use, or some of the greenery that might have been, you know, cut off. So this might have been cut off, some of the flowers, but you can just start hot gluing in around the bow inside the loops to help fill it out. And really this is just basically, I place it on there. once I like where I want it, I just put some hot glue on it and place it on the bow. And then I'm going to use my fingers to actually hold the bow loops or the ribbon together on itself, so it's kind of so you're basically hot gluing the ribbon to the floral piece that you just put in there. And then that's what I do. I just keep adding more greenery and more flowers around the bow to kind of fill it out. And then don't forget the back. I do this on the back as well. So because the lantern will be seen on all sides, so you don't want to forget to make the back and the sides look just as good as the front. And there you have it, a patriotic lantern swag for your lantern. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure to comment and like it, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.